Okay, so today we have a really important guest. His name is Maksim Borisov, and he just got out of the Eloy Detention Center in Arizona, an infamous detention center where a lot of really bad things are happening. I think one of the things that makes this guest so special and so important is that it's very rare that we actually get somebody coming out of the Eloy Detention Center or any ICE detention center who could tell us their story and what's happening inside. So, without further ado, Maxim, thank you so much for joining Migrant Insider today. It's great to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here too. It's great to share the real story too.
So, I guess the first question is, how did you do it? Like, I know that you had mentioned before when we talked on the phone that you had filed a habeas petition after a lawyer tried to charge you some huge fee, like $8,000 or something like that. How did you figure this out on your own?
Well, yeah, lawyers are actually charging like from $6 to $10,000, and I'm not just able to pay the money. Like it's a little bit complicated when you're detained and you don't have money to just pay your bills. I had to figure out something. Like I had to do something, and I realized that I have this form like in library, but it's a little bit old one, like the old type of a form. And I asked my friend from Las Vegas to send me the instruction from the Florence project because I couldn't reach the Florence project as well. And he sent me the instruction, the manual, how it's supposed to look like. And then I was figuring out like on my own how to do it myself. And I applied for it. I've been like I've tried to prepare it for like probably like 3 weeks or four. And then I just sent it out. Like, I didn't know if it's gonna work or not, but I wasn't even sure it was correct. But I
Wow.
mentioned that I'm a pro se, that I don't know anything about that, like for that, and I just did it. And then I got release order from the judge, which was surprisingly like crazy. That was really like a magic or something because I never expected like to get released out of this hell place that fast and like without any attorney help because like we are got used to pay attorneys like significant amounts, and you have to pay like thousands of dollars to get out of there or to win your case at least, or just to stay in the United States even in detention. And here you are doing it on your own while lawyers are making like thousands, billions of dollars all over the America. And like I was like, wow, I did it.
Basically, how long were you in there? Tell us your story, like in brief. Like you were in there for what, roughly 30?
It was 13 months and 10 days
Wow.
exactly.
And how did you end up in there at Eloy Detention Center?
So on February 16, 2025, I went with my family to seek asylum from Russia because we were chased by Russian authorities. And on the border, so we crossed in the car, and on the border where I believe it called Calexico on the United States side too. We just asked for asylum. Literally right after that, I got detained to the Imperial Detention Center. It's in California, and then I got moved on February 7th. No, no, no. February 19th to the Eloy Detention Center, where I spent the whole time.
So, and one of the things that we talked about while you were on the inside is the treatment of transgender detainees. You sent me a photo. I'm going to pull it up real quick. You sent me a photo of one of the detainees and you. And I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about it. This image of the woman with the orange jacket tied around her waist. Can you tell me a little bit about this person, like, and about how transgender detainees are treated inside of the Eloy detention facility?
All right, the detainee over there in the picture with me is my friend. Let's call her Emma for some reason. For example, I mean, not some reason. So Emma got detained from Miami, I believe, and she was living in America, and she was staying at a Lloyd detention facility, but she couldn't just even apply for asylum because she said, "I'm not gonna make it there because of the treatment, of the condition of like how they're getting treated there. They are housed with the male population, homophobic population, the officers who are homophobic and transphobic as well, because even gay people are getting harassed over there mentally, like with the wards, and transgender people, they are just like, they're not treated as a human being at all.
Wow.
For transgender person, that was really tough and hard to even try to fight for her asylum because she said, "I'm not gonna make it because it's too hard for me. This environment is it's putting too much pressure on me." And she said, like, I was having prescriptions outside. I was having my hormone replacement treatment, and here I'm not able to get hormones. I'm not able to get anything, and that's really bad for my body. And she was trying to explain me that she would have like some, some consequences that could affect her life and even bring it to the, to the death, because when hormones are keep changing like from side to side, it's really, really bad.
So trans
And we
women
even
are
had over
housed with
there,
the men, and they're
absolutely.
not given hormones. And she had and Emma was in her hormone replacement therapy, and they denied her drugs. Is that right?
That's correct, correct. And they're placed with the males. They're showering in the public showers, like and inside the dorms, like So there is no protection for the transgender people over there, and they can be humiliated by staff, by detainees. Population is just constantly making jokes, and you know how it works, especially when
What are some
transgender
of the
person
jokes that they're
is.
hearing? Like, what are some of the jokes that people are saying to them?
Oh, that was like there was a lot of sexual harassment jokes, like can I touch you, blah blah, blah and all this stuff. Like there, I just don't want to. I don't even want to talk about it because that was actually horrible. I was walking with Emma every day. I was going specifically to the yard to just see her because she couldn't talk to anybody. People were just like, "Can I touch you?" Or can I do this? Can I do that? And she was like overwhelmed by that. And I was the only one, her friend, who was always like, let's go, Emma. Like, we're gonna go walk. Just leave this jerks alone. We're not gonna talk to them. And I had to do it with her, and I had to protect her because, first of all, she doesn't speak really good English, and I was protecting my Spanish because she's a really interesting person. I was feeling comfortable and she was feeling comfortable with me. And if she would not get deported, I was begging to move her to my cell because I was afraid for her. She couldn't just use the bathroom normally because her roommate was homophobic and transphobic. And he was somewhat something else too. And she was explaining this to me. She was telling me that like she doesn't feel like safe in there because nobody cares. We even had like a transgender staff in there, and other staff was saying like, oh, this transgender stuff, like they were calling transgender stuff she-males because they were
Wow.
transgender males. And like that's crazy. I even reported that. I sent a grievance, which I attached to the message that I sent you, which is saying that one officer is calling another officer. I don't want to say that, but he literally called officer tranny with no balls.
Wow. And what was the response when you sent in these grievance petitions?
One sergeant came up to me and she was just questioning me like, okay, what happened? Explained her the situation, the same one, and she's like, okay, we're gonna figure something out. And nobody told me anything anymore. Nothing ever happened. The officer is still working there. Both officers are still working there probably.
And what happened to Emma? Is she still in the Eloy Detention Center?
Emma left. She got deported back to Mexico because she's native of Mexico, and she's staying in Mexico, as I know for now, because we're still keeping like in touch on Instagram. And she is just staying there. And she said, "I'm not going to the United States anymore. I will try to probably seek asylum, maybe in Europe, because the United States is not safe anymore for her."
Wow. As a gay man, what are some of the challenges that you faced inside of the ICE detention center, if you don't mind my asking?
No, I don't mind, absolutely. So the probably the bullying and the harassment from the staff and population, and when the chiefs or nobody just can do anything. I've been called faggot by staff. I've been threatened. I've been like joked, humiliated, and like once like people were just printing that on the we have access to the printer over there, and some person just printed that I am a faggot and put it all over the pod. And the thing they decided to do to protect me, they moved me to another building to ridiculously homophobic person who was trying to prove me that I am a sinner and God never gonna forgive me for being gay. And I was like, all right, maybe you're right, but how is this supposed to make me feel protected or safe? And I had to live with him. And like, he was just trying to always convince me that he's better because he's not gay. And I was complaining about it like continuously for a few weeks. And then in a few weeks after when I said I'm just not gonna come back to my cell, they decided to move me.
Last
When I
year we talked
refused
about
just
an
to come
incident.
back because
No, last year we talked
sorry.
about an incident where one of the guards threatened you with rape. Is that right? If you didn't sign a deportation order?
All right. So, long story short, let me start from the beginning. On February 19, when I got to the London Detention Facility, and some week or so, or 2 weeks, I got an interview. The interview was the crimes or slash convention against torturers, like or torturing. and I've got my negative result of this interview. After that, they didn't give me any court hearing, any proper interview, anything, and I had to like just sit there and wait. I was asking ICE to give me the court hearing. They never did. So I was sitting there till May 5th, if I'm not wrong, and they called me to the intake. Intake is the place when you're getting in the facility, they're signing you in, and when you're leaving, they're signing you out. So it was North Intake. I went there. They changed my clothes back to like my regular clothes, the civilian ones, and I've stayed there like for probably like 7 hours or something. Then ICE came in and they started talking to me and they showed me the paperwork, which were saying like, I give permission, ICE decide with judge some without the immigration judge review. And there were tickets already, tickets from Phoenix to New York, China, Russia. I told them, guys, I cannot come back to Russia because I'm gonna get killed there because of my sexual orientation and all of my problems that I faced there. And they didn't care. They were laughing and all this stuff. After which I refused to sign it. And they're saying, are you sure about that? We're just like friendly trying to help you to go home without handcuffs. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's correct. So ICE were trying to convince were trying to tell me that today you can leave like, peacefully. That they were mentioning peacefully leave the United States and go back to your country without handcuffs and like all the chains around you and all this stuff. And I said like, no, I can't. I literally can't because I'd rather stay here in detention center forever than gonna go back and get killed. After what they say like, all right, but just so you know, if you're refusing today, the next time we're gonna just use force to put you in a van and deport you. And I'm like, why? I cannot go there. And it's like then one of the officers, I'm not sure what the deportation officer name was, but I remember him. He was in my nightmares for a few months. And he was telling me like, okay, but if you're gonna refuse another time, we're gonna send you to jail. We're gonna send you to jail, and you know what they're doing with the guys like you in jail? So he mentioned like my sexual orientation, and like they're raping them, and you know that would happen with you. I mean, like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Then they
Wow.
got really mad at me, and they told the core civic staff to write a report against me, and they put me in segregation because I refused to sign voluntary deportation. That's what you call it. And
That's terrible.
that was
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm really
Like,
sorry that happened. Yeah.
I mean, I
It's,
cannot say that
it's
that's alright. That's like horrible. And I just don't know what to feel about it because I never thought that like American immigration system gonna be like related somehow to the like gulag in Russia. You know, like how people are getting killed and tortured in Russia. ICE are trying to do the same with the people right now. And you cannot do anything against it. You cannot even protect yourself because I didn't want to go because they were trying to send me home where I would get killed and they were trying to put me in prison. So they handcuffed me, they were recording me on camera and they put me in segregation. For where I was trying to complain all the time, was calling my lawyer, I was calling all my family, and then they said that my segregation was a mistake, and then they released me back to the general population. After I made so many complaints, after like for 17 hours I've been just crying straight over there, like and just trying to get myself out of there because it's horrible over there. You cannot go outside anywhere. You cannot use microwaves. You don't have TVs. You can get a tablet like once in a I don't know how many hours. You have access to the phone, which is like cracking. And you remember I've called you. You know how it sound like last time when I called you from detention.
So, Maxim, going back to transgender detainees in the Eloy Detention Center, the ICE Detention Center run by Core Civic, you mentioned Emma. Were there other transgender detainees that you encountered during your 13 months in detention?
There was multiple people, like there was different people in Eloy Detention Center. We mentioned a lot of them, like in Versailles, a lot of them, and they were trying to stay all together. There's more than a few people. There were high level transgender people. We were like classified. There was a low level two, high level two. So it's like green, brown, yellow, and red. So there was like a
Can
lot
you
of
explain those
population from
classifications
red.
a little bit? What's that mean? Like, what
So
does it
the
mean if
low
you're
level
green or
one,
you're,
I was
yeah?
the low. You can see this form. You can see this uniform on my pictures. It's green. So we are with no charges in the United States. We're the low security low security, not what do we should call it? So like low security level. So we are
Yeah,
not
okay.
like dangerous. So the low level two is a little bit higher, but like not really. They're still with us. And the yellow and red, they're not allowed to contact with us. They're not allowed to be at the same spot with us. They're not allowed to go to the chow with us to the eat. They're not allowed to just see us. They have different recreation time. Speaking of the transgender
And
people, there is a
they
lot
they
of
are there because they
transgender
have
people in.
existing the high level detainees are there because they have existing criminal charges, or is that
Correct.
right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay, go on
that's right.
about your transgender.
So there was one person, transgender person. She was in Fox unit as well, like me, and she asked to get herself deported back to Russia because she just couldn't handle all of the stuff going on there. She just couldn't because the detentions are prolonged and people are just not actually able to spend, they just don't have like this opportunity to spend their like years sitting in detention because they cannot get their asylum or something. The transgender female from Russia had to come back. She went
From
back
Russia.
and she just like, yes, and she said, I just can't. I'm not gonna stay here over more. She was saying for a lot of months already, and we saw a lot of transgender people in high levels. Anyways, sometimes we can see each other like high levels and low levels when we're going to the like a virtual attorney visit or something. And we were always hearing the stories how this transgender people are offered from the other detainees like to have some, some sexual things or to provide them the protection for
Wow.
based on like sexual things. And there were some like incidents. There were incidents where people were like transgender people were like inappropriately touched or like even engaged in some sex activities because of that, and nobody cares, not even the staff, and people are reporting it and nobody cares. It traumatized me a lot, to be honest, with
And
all of this stuff, because like I was actually always worried that what if they're gonna come to me again, ICE, and they're gonna, I don't know, send me to jail and rape me, like they promised that something is gonna happen like that.
I'm sorry that, yeah, that's terrible. I'm really sorry that happened. And you mentioned that, the comparison to the gulags in Russia. Did Were detainees dying in ICE detention center at Eloy? We've gotten a couple of sporadic reports of detainee deaths, and it usually Core Civic, the vendor that runs the Eloy detention center, denies any wrongdoing and things like that. Were you privy to any of these fatal situations inside of Eloy?
The first situation I've heard of and I'm aware of, literally a few weeks before I came to the Eloy detention facility, my Russian friends who are still staying there, they were seeing a guy from Africa who was complaining continuously about his health, who was trying to tell like all this stuff, and who was going to the medical and was saying like, I need help because I don't feel right. He was getting slimmer and slimmer, thinner and thinner, like with every day, and he didn't look healthy. After which, one day he turned like pale. He was pale, absolutely pale. And then one of the guys asked him, like, what's going on with you? Are you alright? And he answered to him, medical is playing with me. He literally said medical is playing with me, and the very next day he died. He died very
Wow.
next day, and they were trying to create a reason that he wasn't seeking help. He wasn't like they couldn't uh, what they call like unidentified HIV, they said, or something, but that's impossible. We're getting tested over there, and they just like, this is exactly how medical system works in there. They were calling us prisoners, and the nurses and doctors, they are not helping. We are short in medicine right now over there. They are not providing. So I've had severe allergies in there. I was covering with rushes, and they never helped me. They never gave me any tests. They gave me one test and they said, "Oh, you're allergic to dogs." But I'm like, "Okay, there's no dogs in the facility. How's that supposed to work?" And I never got my answer again. And right, like before I left, a few weeks before I left, I heard a story, and it was all over the Tucson, Phoenix, and all over the Arizona. The guy died because of a tooth infection. He literally died in there because he couldn't get the dental help. So I've been there for 13 months and 10 days, and I saw my dentist only once, and it was the annual check-in. Like, he checked me just only once, but we should get checked after 6 months being in there. We should get any help, but he said we cannot help you with anything except just temporary fillings, teeth removals. So if you have a problem with your teeth over there, I don't know, like something happened, the only thing they can do as an emergency is to remove your teeth. That's it, nothing else.
And the person who died of the toothache, do you know where they were from? Like, was this
I'm
somebody
not
you
sure
knew?
because
Okay.
he was in a different unit from me. And like, we have right now like four male units, and like it was like It's 200, it's like 750 people, more than 750 people, and I'm just not sure which one exactly because I was staying in most of the time, in my unit and like just not going outside because it's pretty complicated to stay, always active and like just it's a little bit tough. And then, we're figuring out that someone died and they're like, okay. And the representatives of Congress were coming there. The people are complaining about tooth, like you call it neglect, right? When people are not getting
Who
any help, and they're complaining about it,
who
and
are
nobody
some
does anything. They're mentioning it, but like, excuse me,
who are some members of Congress who went to the Eloy that you saw come into the detention facility? And when the
I
members
was
of Congress came, did the
first.
guards change things up, or did they like there's we've been hearing that when the members of Congress go to the detention facilities that they clean things up a little bit more. Is that true? Like what were you seeing on the inside?
All right, so my personal experience, representative of Yasemin Ansari, she's a congresswoman of Arizona. She was coming the whole year to the detention center, but she never saw males for this whole year. And then, for out of a sudden, for some mysterious reason, she decided to see males. But she used to see, she used to see females like personally. That was a personal interview. And then she got her up like 35 people, around 35 males, in the South Chaplain and the Lloyd Detention Facility. And she was talking to us, and she was late, and she had only like 10, 15 minutes. And then um, her team said, okay, we need to go. We cannot talk to everybody. I'm going to come back next week. And she never did. She said she's going to
Okay.
come back next week. She never did. I'm not trying to blame Ms. Ansari for that, but like when we've been there, behind the doors, there was ICE, assistant warden, and a chief of unit management, I believe. And they were staying there and listening to everything we're talking and like, everything we're talking about and saying. And then when I asked personally myself, and she knows about it, I asked for water. They said like, I'm not gonna give you water. We've been there for 3 hours, and they're still like, I can send you back right now. I'm like, but we are talking to the Miss Ansari, and they're still like, okay, then use your opportunity right now. Use your chance. Don't ask for water. And like, what? But it sounded
That's
like
wild.
something normal at the facility. We
So
never got bathroom. We couldn't go to the toilet.
when it comes to buying
All right.
like a bottle of water, how does that work? Like you had mentioned on the phone that detainees get paid what, $1 a day? Is that right?
So when you're working at the unit as a cleaning porter, you are receiving $2 per day per working day, getting only $2. When you're
And
working as it's very
what kind of responsibilities do you have when you're getting $2
also
a
you
day?
have to clean the pots, like empty the trash. So everything they're telling you to do in the unit, so your counselors, I've been working myself personally. I know how it works like thoroughly. So they can call you like for high dusting, for removing the trash, removing like everything, just clean, just maintaining the unit with their supervision. Where did so we were painting, cleaning the showers from mold, like that was crazy. We were doing a lot of stuff. So it was literally like they were telling people to work hard for $2 a day without any bonuses and anything. I've been working myself. I've worked from 6 in the morning till like 6 p.m. It was like 12 hours straight for $2. And the bottle of water costs like the smart water, the brand smart water. It's $2.09. So for one day of work, you cannot even afford yourself a bottle of water.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
So let me yeah, that's terrible.
Absolutely. And nobody cares about that. Like the water we're getting, so the water we are allowed to drink at the facility we're allowed to drink is like tap water from the pipes. So when they open the pipe chases, you can see there's all calcium around the pipes, and it's green and white and all this stuff. So we're drinking this water. People, it tastes absolutely terrible. It's horrific. It's horrible. Like the water, you when you shower, your skin gets dry, you're losing your hair, like, or you can, if you're cleaning your, like, trying to dry your body, towel can leave, like, I mean, there can be left like white stains on the towel. And people, they're cooking with this water as well. The filters are not working. We don't have filters at the Eloy detention facility, so it leaves, like, after the water boils out, for example, it can leave like a white, like a dust inside, like, and it's like, it's crazy. This is like the water. I'm not sure this water is healthy and safe to drink.
So let me ask you this
But
just
staff,
broadly.
wait,
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
staff is not allowed to drink this water. The staff of Core Civic, they have their own filters with the there's like a little cooler, and they're getting their water, but we're not allowed to. If we would try to get water from their like cooler or like water machine, we are getting written up with the sanctions. So they could take away like a month of commissary. They could like remove your job. They could do whatever they want.
So when it comes to core civic, who are some of the worst actors that you encountered during your 13 months in the Eloy detention facility?
Well, if I could give them the award for being the horrible person of the year, that would be probably the half of the facility because I've been through a lot. There was a lot of people just wait. There is like, I cannot say that there was like they were like the worst. Someone was the like the worst person ever. No, they were all terrible. There were some people who were nice, but they couldn't fix anything, and there was some people who were like pretty bad, like really bad. For example, there was one officer. You can find articles about him, like from other detainees who were literally fighting with him. Recently, I received a write up, and I sent a grievance against him because he like came up to me like this close. It was like this close. I could smell his breath and he was aggressive towards me. And he was aggressive. And I was asking him to back up, because he was trying to like to get something out of my pockets, and I was just asking him to back up, and he didn't do it, which was like actually violating my safety. And I spoke personally myself. I found the chief of security, and I said like, "Hey, this is not right. This is not okay." And there's a yeah, we're gonna take care of it. And nothing happened. The officer is still there, and he's working. Or other officers, like um, there were officers who were like really aggressive towards all the LGBTQ plus community. They were just like, for example, one of the officers was always saying that he gonna when I'm gonna get out because he hates me, he gonna find and kill me. That's what he was saying. Nobody cares about it. Nobody cared. So he was air punching, showing that like he would just like hook me, like like punch me or something. And I was going straight to the office. I was saying the time code, and they're saying like, after reviewing the milestone camera system, we cannot find any proofs of what you're claiming. I'm like, how you're not proven? Can I go take a look with you? And like, I'm gonna show you exactly where it was. They're saying, no, you cannot. So my point is that the core civic is covering up their staff when they're acting absolutely, how to say, unprofessional, which is absolutely unprofessional. They should provide me my safety, but the only safety I got is the I can like the only safety I got I could provide myself. You know what I mean? So the safety you only
Yeah.
get, it's like just to stay in your cell and never leave, because this place is unpredictable, because you never know. Like the officers were saying like, so there was a lot of things. The officers were saying like, you're like fucking immigrants, they were saying, or fucking faggots, fucking like they were racist. They were calling like a lot of people, a lot of bad words that I'm not even gonna try to mention right now, because that was
Yeah,
like
that's
crazy. And
who are some people that you were able to bond with inside of ICE detention center? Like, like I guess if who are the worst people, who are some of the best people that you found in there?
one of the really best people who were in there was my unit manager from my building. She couldn't do anything against my case. She was trying to help me. She was trying to protect me all the time, but like she's not like, like she just couldn't do it like fully probably, but she was really helping me. She was trying to talk to me. She was trying to talk to the staff. She was trying to do something, but it never helped. I'm not trying to blame her right now for that, but like she is a really wise woman and she had a lot of stuff to do and to deal with, but still, like the staff, she just couldn't do something, against some of the officers, because she was saying like it's getting too personal. Like I just cannot keep like digging in these cases like when something is going on, because like this is like crazy, because she knows they all aware of officers who are acting like really crazy. I personally reported to chief of security, because the chiefs over there's like the system when warden is on the at the top, and then it goes like assistant warden and the chief of security. The chief of security was doing like, I'm not sure if I should mention her name, but like it's actually like you can find it online, but anyways, so she was round like doing her rounds, so she's checking the unit, and I was reporting to her, your officer is threatening me, your officer is trying to humiliate me, he calls me faggot, he calls me gay, he calls me, that was a black officer, and he was calling me the N word, and I was like, how is that supposed to work right now? I mean, like I was reporting that continuously, and now being told like, well, but you can't relate to this word. Why would you be offended? I'm like, it's not me being offended. It's not right when a person, like when detainee is allowed himself to use any of words that are not professional in this environment. You are in the detention center. You should provide like safety. but only things we were provided is like with tap water and like accumulatings that they were telling us that we are fucking immigrants. Well, that's actually really really sad. And or I'll be told by one of the officers, there was a guy, he is British himself. He had like a strongest British accent, and he is a yard officer, north yard officer, night shift, and he always has problem with the multiple detainees, and they're aware of his behavior and they never do anything. And when I just came in there, when I was going back from the breakfast, he told me like, I don't like anyone except white European people, and he was telling me that he hates Indians. And then when I reported that, and very next day or in 2 days after, they leaked my name that I did that, and he approached me and said like, why don't you go to Russia and die in a war? Go fight in war. What are you doing in my country? And I'm like, since when it's your country exactly? This is the country of American people. This is the country of like, it's a nation. Like, you are immigrant yourself. Why would you tell me this? And they're saying like, just go
Right.
fight for your country in the war and die there. And I
Well,
reported this as well, and nobody did anything.
Maxim, thank you so much for your testimony here. It's so great to have you out, brother. I guess, what comes next?
I don't even know.
Maxim,
There was a lot of, I don't even know where to start because I've been through this. It was the whole year for me. But what comes next? Like, uh, I don't know.
you've been out for what, 5 days?
Yeah, I cannot get even my um work authorization right now because my asylum clocks were stopped. I spent
Well,
there for like spent there 30 months, but my asylum clocks are only 25 days. So
Maxim, thank you again
I'm
for sharing our
technically
story. But so I'm just gonna wrap it up real quick, and then we'll go back and do one more take. Maxim, thank you so much again for sharing our story. Sorry, Maxim, thank you so much again for sharing your story. This is an incredibly harrowing account and an incredibly valuable testimonial that you've given today about what goes on in Eloy Detention Center. Place for, as far as reporters go, we don't actually get a lot of information about what's going on in there. So, thank you again, and stay safe out there, brother.
So that was Maksim Borisov with his journey inside the Eloy Detention Center, where he spent 13 months in hell, to use his term. Please like and subscribe for more interviews like this. Even if you don't like the news, I know this isn't necessarily a good news story. If you like the video and if you subscribe, it definitely increases the visibility of Maksim's story, which helps the channel grow, and we can do more interviews like this and more people will see them. So, and as always, if you want to support my work, migrantinsider.com. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Pablo Manriquez, editor of Migrant Insider, and please stay safe out there, fam.